This video took me forever, but it's my starseed, so if it's wrong, it's my fault, right? And that's right, I've gone through all 12 archetypes of the Council of Light starseeds, and we're on number 2, so we only have a few left. This one's Abba, our Pisces, or our ambassadors. And we're talking about my big M, Mintakan starseed, the Abba Muahu Kalunas, priest, scribe, and king. Ancient inscriptions talk about a Mintakan fish people who would usher in the Piscean age. And the same spiral of life pine cone and the Egyptian Ankh were included in these early inscriptions, along with the Anunnaki. Early paintings would show a blue deity type like the Hindu gods, ushered in with a ibis crane, carrying in scrolls and things to scribe on. And as you can see here, this is Sobek, the emissary spies, talking to Thoth as Thoth keeps record of what they're saying. And Thoth and these story sticks would become canonical, and you can see more about it on the first video on the Oro, the Gemini. He was the royal scribe hired by all the royalty to write down anything that they wanted. And he'd always be delivering these story sticks like a new book into society. And so it became early tradition for these Mintakan sea peoples to gather together like ambassadors and share their stories with one another. And this would become their lesson, a message from the void and the stars where Mintakans once lived. Their dire circumstances were already fated. Their homeworld near Orion's belt was destroyed. They had to make way for the Piscean system. Because both the fish and the reptile go way back, they were mistaken for reptilians initially, so they called themselves dragonfish and said, "We are not the Noma that you think we are." The truth was the Pisceans were the gods' building blocks early on in life. They become dragonfish, they become draconians, they became aquatic Syrians, all various types. And they kind of know where to go when their homeworld is destroyed, as they followed the Anunnaki and the Syrians. The Mintakans would arrive earlier, before sentient life, ready to create a new world from scratch. And in every civilization, we hear these early stories of sea peoples creating places like Lemuria, Atlantis, and Mesopotamia. Faiths from all over the world start talking about these fish gods coming out of the oceans. So then these pagan deities would step forward and say they had some profound arcane knowledge and become moon priests and moon priestesses. These Mintakan starseeds, working at a higher frequency, could merge signals between celestial planes. And most would say they were born out of the primordial waters and were the original light workers. And for Mintakans, it seems like there's this cord of resonance that runs through everything, like water. And what's super magical is I found this picture and it has Taurus and Cancer, which are both signs that lead to Pisces if you're a Pisces starseed. See, here's mine. Here's like Taurus, Cancer, Pisces, Gemini feminine. And although it's called Hermeticism, alchemy predated Hermes, the alchemist. In fact, not even Thoth was the first one to speak of alchemy and metaphysics. And it even predates Sethian Gnostic traditions as well. Because before all that, you had your wizards. Gypsies came forward connected to the age of Pisces and the age of Aquarius. They all hailed from a place called Atlantis and called themselves Atlantean. They came here escaping the destruction of their homeworld and had to share the Earth's oceans with the Syrians. And then centuries later, they'd still be receiving divine messages from their birds, gods, and goddesses. And it seemed like finding out the truth about the present, the past, and the future was the only way to salvation for a Mintakan starseed. It would become the Night Fathers, the record keepers of the motions of the stars and the planets, astronomy and astrology. The Abba would pick up and go. They were known from walking town to town to deliver the news of the celestial seasons and the changing of the stars to any young people that they could find. And it was this higher level of understanding, the state of knowledge of knowing the science of metaphysics, spirituality, and everything beyond the stars. And like many species, they were corrupted by the Draconians and had to make their homes on outlying galaxies. This Mintakan starseed has a longing for home, a deep yearning for a place that they think they can never return to. And so, the distant wanderers, the Mintakans, have to make their livings in the Sirian, Andromedan, and Orion systems. On Earth, they become the wisest of the scribes ever to be known. The Mintakan Sea people became the scribes and ambassadors, and then they became the highest priests in the land. And then rogue priests would become the most powerful warlocks and wizards in the land. Women, too, would become abbesses alongside their male counterparts, the Abba. In mythical traditions, they'd appear as birds that were scribes. And still to others, they weren't just scribes, but they were kings. But of course, they were writing their own story, too. They can make other people's kings or priests. But why are wizards and priests associated with the Piscean astrology symbol? As it turns out, if you put up a sundial, both the sun and the moon shadows make these fish shapes across the sky or on a shadow on the ground. And as time passes, we could see our system going from Piscean age to the Aquarius age as the rotation of our galaxy changes. And so early astrology actually was calculated by 9 points because there was 3 astrology signs that they didn't know about. And these 9 points constructed something called the Enneagram, and every point represented a different type of god or goddess. And what it represented is Atum, the sun god, would have children, and they go through all these stages in a clockwise phase until his grandchildren would come out just like him. And the point was for mastery of all the 9 points of knowledge, like astronomy, math, language, all those different subjects all the way around, to go from gold back to gold again. And it's been used to gauge like behavioral patterns between people, balancing one person's metaphysics, or even helping people find purpose. Ironically, we don't have many Thoth characters written into current media plots. But apparently the Mintakans are aquatic and make very good male leaders. In a way, we can see Thoth the scribe as like the press guy in a war. Merlin would originally grow up a bard, but through immense divination, he became one of the most powerful wizards, even predicting Arthur pulling the sword from the stone. Because after all, it was the priest's job to bless any newborn babies. But what does Hollywood do? They emasculate the man, put him in some bizarre homoerotic relationship with a guy with main character syndrome, and give some sterile kind of like asexual female character that isn't at all involved or interested in the guy at all. I mean, can we just have one instance of nautiloids or aquatic creatures having some normal heterosexual romance? No, all the women have to be single queen warriors with no interest in men whatsoever. And if at any time any of these couples could have any type of success in any of these star systems, that'd be nice. Nope, here we go again with the overbearing man, the asexual, non-binary woman, and the awkward throuple relationship. Just ruined it. Or we could just emasculate every genius character, basically, but in real life he's actually gay. Or we could even replace your Starseed ambassador job with AI in a cartoon. These people, they just want to like castrate the patriarchy, right? But like no kings against the Republicans. So essentially liberal Democrats are protesting for no kings because they want more Republicans because that's what a republic is. And it's hard being a Mintakan Starseed scribe because many times you're more accurate and detailed, but everybody else gets more recognition. And you haven't heard the last of Mintakan Starseeds, or me for that matter. So if you like what you're seeing and if you want to get a free Starseed reading, go ahead and send me a comment or a DM. Once again, on behalf of Muahu Kalunas, enjoy the truth.